my grandfather would take his cane and we'd go walking around the town. And one day he came home and he was totally beside himself. He had walked down the street and he saw a former customer coming toward him. So he saw this man and he said, "Oh, good morning, Herr so-and-so." As the man went by him, he spit in his face. That so shocked my grandfather. It just totally floored him.
That's Ernest Fruhoff, a German-born survivor of the Holocaust, now 92 years old. And I'm Andy Miles, host of the new series, Resistance, Resilience, and Hope, Holocaust Survivor Stories, a podcast co-production of the Illinois Holocaust Museum and Education Center and Studio C Chicago. Each episode features a conversation with a Holocaust survivor, traveling back through the decades to tell their story as it happened in Poland, Hungary, France, Belgium, Germany, England, Shanghai, Israel, and America.
America represented freedom. America represented promise. So we have the dream, the ultimate dream, to come to America and have a chance. Just have a chance.
During the Holocaust, the survivors in this series ranged in age from toddlers to teenagers, some of them held captive in ghettos and concentration camps, others concealed away in attics, basements, and hay barns.
It was horror all the time. From a very young age, I was put in that situation never to think or to speak or to move. And we were truly clustered so close together, it was hard to breathe.
We walked down the flimsy steps, pulled the trap door down. I felt banished. The ceiling pressed down on me. The damp walls closed in on me. How I longed for the open horizon.
I cannot understand that I truly lived all this horror. Now I'm thinking it's unreal. When necessity dictates, you take the challenge and you do what is important.
I remember he knocked on the door of his wife and she answered the door and he told her, Josephine, Józefa in Polish, I brought you a Christmas gift. It was Christmas night. And this woman embraced me, accepted me. She cleaned me up. I was full of lice and whatever. And they took me to church and baptized me. And I became Irena Mai.
Govaerts was the name of a Dutch family that had died. And the resistance were able to provide false identity papers and those names for my parents. And of course, as their child, I became Jean Govaerts. It got to be so common for me to use that name that I virtually forgot who I really was.
On this episode, we hear from Ben Goldwater, Erna Blitzer-Gorman, Ida Paluk-Kurz, Ernest Fruhoff, Estelle Glazer-Laughlin, Judy Kolb, Ruth Gilbert, Vera Burston, Ernie Hyman.
Number one, the street that we lived in was a residential street. Normally no traffic. I would go to school and probably not see more than one or two people. So when the street was all full, this was astounding to me. And I ran down there and I asked what's going on. And they said, don't you know, the synagogue is on fire. Well, at that time I was 9.5 years old and I was devastated.
Things really became alive after November 38, the so-called Kristallnacht situation. There was a tremendous amount of noise on the street. What is going on? And pretty soon I heard the downstairs door being smashed in. And then I heard the crashing of the utensils and the cracking of wood and the breaking of the dishes. It made a tremendous amount of noise. That went on for quite a while. And at some time later, maybe 8 o'clock or so, either some police or SS or Gestapo came storming up to the second floor, and they came to arrest my father and grandfather to take them to the city jail.
Both of those men, then boys, escaped Germany during the war. Other survivors, like Ruth Gilbert, remained in their homeland, passing as Christian Poles.
It was called the Aryan side. And there was a survivor's guilt. There was this guilt of, why am I alive and why am I living a relatively comfortable life? And my relatives, my family, my people are dying of starvation and of killing.
A grenade was thrown into our bunker, and the barbarians were upon us. There was no corner to hide anymore. When they took us to Umschlagplatz, a deportation station, we were so thirsty. Our lips were coated with scabs, was so dry, and I lost my voice for a little while. I couldn't even call for my parents, and the Nazis squirted water onto the ground, and we scooped up just the water from the puddles to moisten our lips, and then they loaded us onto the trains.
For Ida Paluk-Kurz, barely 6 years old when the Germans surrendered in May 1945, the war was a time of dark skies, dark apartments, and dark secrets.
People were whispering it around me, they were whispering, and I asked something. No. Children don't have to know it. Like I say, where is the neighbor? He was here today. Where did he go? He didn't come back. They said, oh, you don't have to know it. He went to whatever. Now I know why he wasn't there.
When your parents in your household are under pressure, even if you're a young child, you don't necessarily know exactly what's happening, but you know that your parents, your mom, your dad, are under tremendous pressure, and it affects you too, because you're so vulnerable. It wasn't like you could call the police and say, somebody's bothering me, because, there was no police for the Jewish people.
And you've said that as a result of that decision to leave Hungary and look for a better life elsewhere, your aunt and uncle and mother and dad became your heroes.
Oh my God, are they ever my heroes? Are they ever my heroes?
My grandmother was my compass. What she did is something that I will never aspire to I'll never accomplish what she accomplished, and what she was able to do, and keep the family together, keep everybody going. To me, she was amazing.
My Polish mother is the hero and my angel. Yeah, she's my real angel.
And my father having a tutor, even when we were in the bunker and the world was crumbling around us. To me, it was sort of a promise there's a future.
Well, my last question is, why do you tell your story? I mean, why is it important to get your story out?
I think that it is essential to be reminded from time to time of the consequences to us and to society when we accommodate ourselves to tyrants, how it corrupts the conscience of a nation. We have to be reminded that human beings are capable of extreme cruelty, and by being reminded of that, appreciate so much more the healing power of love.
Especially with the kids, I think it's important that they know how it's possible to have such inhumanity happen to humans, and that they are the future generation, and that they should be aware that this should never happen again to anyone, not Jews, not Gentiles, not homosexuals, nobody.
People don't discriminate. Don't think that you are better than the next person. Don't.
If I could just convince a couple of kids not to get involved in this hatred business, I'll have accomplished something.
Please join me for Resistance, Resilience, and Hope. Holocaust Survivor Stories.
It's a story of the Jewish people being in great peril and horrendous things that happen. So I feel it's a story that needs to be told.